Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Brand new video on Marvel Contested Champions. Now it has been about 24 hours since Carnage and Punisher's gameplay video was released by MCC Mods, so I thought I would take a look at it, but I wanted to dissect a few things looking at the previous video where we talked a bit more about the abilities of Punisher and Carnage and have a look at, well, are there more things here that meets the eye? What the hell am I talking about? Well, going back to the previous video, Carnage and Punisher, they had base stats. Base stats are usually found in the left side with regards to the attributes. So health-wise, 26,826 for Carnage, 1,969 with regards to attack. We then compare that off with Punisher, and we've got 29,874 for health, 2,319 for attack. Obviously, a big difference. Now, let's just get in some facts here. In that number one, these are both 565 or 65, 5 stars, and the signature level is 200 for both of them. The next thing is with regards to attributes. Now this is where it becomes incredibly fascinating, and even though there is a class advantage disadvantage when they're fighting, it doesn't make a huge, it's not making a significant amount of difference in the gameplay footage that we're going to see. But you could argue that it may be MCC Mod's way of playing that is the main reason that one particular character looks stronger than the other. So let's have a look at the attributes. So on your left is Punisher's, and on your right, above my head here, is Carnage's. Like, that is insane. First off the bat, the critical rating. Critical rating, 21.8% for Punisher compared with 8.4 when it comes to Carnage. Now, as 5 stars go, you know, it's not significantly strong, but Carnage's is kind of, it's nowhere. I know people will argue that maybe the signature ability may make up for that. Yeah, that's all good in principle, but let's talk about base stats here. Like building on a foundation in order to make a character completely, you know, amazing. So the critical damage rating, 174.6% for Punisher, and then 107.5% for Carnage. That, again, that's incredibly significant. If you look at another champion, like one of my champions at the moment, I've got a rank 2 5-star Captain Marvel, and that's got a critical damage rating of 200.1, I think, %, which again is quite significant. However, compared with other kind of stats as we go, it's not so amazingly, sufficient compared. Armor rating 24.9% for Punisher. I can see that obviously based on the fact he has a nanotech suit. But obviously armor rating for Carnage is 20.8%. My god, it'd be better if it was 200%. But it's still 20.8% is not great. It's not amazing. Block proficiency, however, you know, you would go right. Block proficiency is 69.1%. Again, this is the argument about the battle suit. And then block proficiency for Carnage is 45.2%. And it's like taking the idea between something fleshy, which is like Carnage effectively, against something like Punisher 2099, who has got more of a nanotech suit on top. And obviously the big argument behind that is something that I have said, that this particular suit that Punisher's in, the 2099 version, is not the same one as depicted in the comics. Because in the comic books for Marvel Contested Champions, in the finale issue, he's only actually in this suit for 3 images before being shot in the head. So going back to his previous suit, it's not as powerful, but still at the same time, looking at A and B and both Punisher and Carnage, I can see the logic behind it, that he's in a tech suit, so therefore all these attributes should be kind of base on him. These are the part of the foundation, and anything else is a little bit extra to kind of improve by signature ability and other stuff that the suit brings. Carnage, however, and based on his lineage and the past and what is kind of like built up, you would expect a lot more from the character, similar to the fact that well, Venom should be as good, if not better than he is under the circumstances. And funnily enough, I thought I'd just pop on to have a look at what the attributes for my current 330 Venom is. And he's got a critical rating of 13.4%, a critical damage rate of 146%, which is already kicking the ass of this 5-star Awakened to and a dupe to 200. So that's ridiculous. Oh, and even this, the block proficiency is 54.7%. regardless of the armor rating be 12.4 for an unawakened Venom at 330, it just blows my mind that isn't more significant than it is. But, you know. And just before we get into the gameplay of the video, let's just quickly talk about the abilities, going back to previous discussions. In that, obviously, it's similar to Venom in the fact that we've got all these kind of increases with regards to physical resistance, block proficiency, critical rate. Not so when it comes to Venom. Venom doesn't get the block proficiency side of things. It gets armor instead. So, I don't know. I just feel that it's kind of very airy-fairy when it comes to Carnage as a character. I was expecting a lot more from Carnage. I can imagine application side of things, you're going to have to get all these buffs on. So, you know, get struck, get a block, light attack, medium attack, heavy attack. Keep them as a permanent and then try and kind of build on that with regards to buffs. And it does go back to what I said in that previous video, and a link to that is in the description, about nullification. Should these things be exempt from nullification? They probably won't be. And the name of the game with Bloodlust is keep the enemy bleeding, and it will be more beneficial for you. Doing that through a heavy attack seems to be the way to go. Very difficult to kind of get that off, and you will see in the gameplay that it's very obvious that it is a bit difficult to do, as interrupting can be a bit of a bitch. But let's just get into this fight. So here is the heavy attack coming in, and you can see that it had that like shield, and it kind of puts in a stun. I wonder if you could do with the length, depending on mastery setups, and obviously in playing this video I don't know if MCC mods had a mastery setup where he could increase the length of stun. Imagine that if you're able to put a consistent stun in with a heavy attack, like heavy attack, heavy attack, heavy attack. Well, not one of these things where it's like you should do it, but at the same time it's a way to get around certain difficult situations, especially if you could then similar to what I've done in a video with Hulk and the continuous stun, could be something that could be applied through just doing heavy attacks, but getting that first one off without any kind of hiccups is difficult unless you parry first and then start doing this kind of rotation of stuns. The extent of Carnage's bleed can be seen at this. So there we go. We've got the heavy attack in, we've got bleed going, and then hit, and you see that rapid amount of bleed and crits that will go in were pretty darn nice. Similar to, say, Black Panther OG with regards to his extent of stun. Right, so we're just about to see, here we go, heavy attack, and then we see we put the bleed in. Carnage is then putting in this kind of rapid amount of bleed with crit, which is similar to like Black Panther OG, but this is something a little bit fresher than that, to be honest. Through this fight, I can see a lot of physical resistance coming up for Carnage. However, I don't know if I really feel that it's made any kind of difference. Obviously, we talked about these attributes with regards to low armor and also low block proficiency. You can see that he doesn't, when he starts taking damage, he still takes a different amount of damage. And he's like at a 3 stack here. And you can see now it's a 4 stack. It's still kind of like there's a reduce of about 20 damage per kind of hit from Punisher. And it just really shows the weakness, or how weak Carnage is, even with still a significant amount of buffs up. And maybe again it could be that obviously against a target like Punisher, his damage output is more than Carnage under the circumstances. But maybe he's better using the character. So if you kind of the idea that, oh yeah, should he be put down as an Alliance Wars defense? Well, probably not, because he can literally be shredded through. One thing I've noticed as the fight has gone on, the extent of kind of like, I always call it generic damage that I've seen. Carnage is hitting about 380, and when it comes to Punisher, like one punch can go from 611, and I saw like a white kind of 800, 900. So that kind of comparison of like how much like hits, the damage of a single hit, it just kind of again shows the kind of the key differences between both characters. And obviously we talked about at the start of the video the attributes from the point of how much damage Carnage does as a base, and also that how much Punisher does. Now again, you would think that against class advantage to class disadvantage that would change dramatically, and it doesn't feel like it has changed. So is Punisher, and this is again very hard to tell because obviously we're going against one against the other. If you took Punisher against another character that's not Carnage, would theoretically they be weaker in comparison to other 5 stars at that level, or would would he be stronger? I really need to kind of get both in a situation where I can use both of them to kind of make a decision. But so far, it does seem that Punisher kind of edges it as a bit more of a character. And we saw regen being quite significant as well. So when you get about 10%, it then means that you're getting some regen. And I don't think it's loads to make you particularly worry, but at the same time, it's enough to keep the character still going a little bit more in the fight. And obviously, being signature level 200, being a 5-star, it's going to be quite significant. Regen was about 189 for 10 seconds, so just under 2,000 health to get you through to the last part of the game if you need it. Which is kind of like helpful if you think of endurance on the standard Punisher. I suppose that's fair. One thing to point out is the bleed. Once you get a bleed, you can see all those crits going in. And it makes me really, I think that's exciting for the champion. That's that bloodlust there. With regards to effectiveness, if you can make sure that you are not getting hit quite so much and you're doing all the work, and again, I think, you know, this could be because of the maybe playing style that MCOC mods had, and obviously what he wanted to sort of accomplish with the video. I guess we didn't really see a utilization of a one-sided affair. It's just to kind of show people what was going on. I think as well that the styles for both characters are different in certain ways, whereas Punisher is a character that is to last a while in the game, or last a while in a fight. Carnage is all about putting maximum amount of damage in as quickly as possible, get that bleed off, and then hit in something nice. The L1 and L2, because it's multiple amount of hits, really kind of help if there is a bleed on, because all those multiple hits, and say if he's hitting about, I don't know, there's about 6 strikes. So for example, there's an L2, there's probably about 4 or 5 strikes in there. With L1, there's a multiple amount. If the character was bleeding, the enemy character was bleeding, you were doing the offensive, then it means that number one, you're going to put in a lot of damage. There's going to be an extensive amount on the bleed, or there's going to be an extensive amount on the crit. So that is where the champion will be more effective for, hence Bloodlust. So with all that being said, what are your thoughts now that you've seen these champions in action? I'm still really kind of on the fence. I can understand how I would use both characters, for what reasons. I think that Punisher may be more of a character I might go to. I don't have a strong tech. I would like a strong tech. I think I've got a load of 5-star signature stones for such a kind of a champion. Getting a 5-star awakening gem is going to be very hard. Maybe I would save up for 2 Punisher crystals and go for it, but my luck of featured has been trash. However, though, the chances to kind of pick up a different featured may be the thing that makes me more interested in this. The other thing is with Carnage, I can see a practical use for him, but with regards to those attributes, which as we discussed, not exactly brilliant for a character that's standing, even being worse than Venom, which, so strange. But anyway, what's your thoughts now that you've seen him? Good, bad, Carnage, no, Punisher, yes, whatever it is, let me know. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you've got anybody interested in Punisher or Carnage, then consider sharing this with them. I think they might find it a little bit interesting, if I don't toot my own horn. If you're interested in this t-shirt, T-Blocks, then go to link in the description. There is a 24% discount code for your first month. And yeah, catch me on social media, links in the description. Bye-bye for now.